Hey there, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for being here. Well, it's time for another Tools and Tech Tuesday, and today we have the M12 Hatchet. It's an awesome tool. There's not much in the box with it, so let's take it out of the box and get to using it. Alright everybody, it finally came, the M12 Hatchet. So excited. Got a couple... Too much traffic today. Got a couple things to go with M12 Hatchet. Got an extra chain and an extra bar, but that's not what we're here for today. Let's open this bad boy up. I've been waiting for a tool like you. Yeah, I've been waiting for a tool like this for a while, quite honestly. See if that'll work. Just some documentation. And that's it. Not much to that unboxing. Here's where you fill the oil. Here, of course, is where you put in your M12 battery. Nice. Let's give it a shot. Okay, so we had to use the pole saw to cut the branches off the tree before we could cut them up with the M12 Hatchet. This, by the way, is the Ryobi 18-volt 1+ pole saw. I'll have a video coming up on this, so let me know what you want to know about it. Alright, here is how you fill the bar and chain oil. Now you'll see in a second here that I made a mess because this thing only takes 1 3/4 ounces of bar and chain oil, and even though I saw Stanley, the dirt monkey, do the exact same thing, I still over poured. I popped in a battery and ran it for a few seconds in order to make sure that the automatic oiler was working before I used it for the first time. Alright, here's my buddy cutting up some of the branches that we cut down, and don't worry, the saw isn't getting nearly as close to his feet and his arm as it looks in the video. I've been waiting for a tool like this for a long time because whenever you have to trim a tree and you end up with these big branches on the ground, you have to find a way of chopping them up, and to me, there's never been a very satisfactory way of doing that. Of course, you can use loppers and things like that for the little skinny branches, but you still have to find a way to cut the big thick ones. The pole saw is nice, and I thought, man, it would be really nice to take out the pole part so you could just chop those things up when you have them down. I have a reciprocating saw, but of course that's a two-handed tool. You can't very well hold onto the branch with one hand and use the other hand to cut the branch because it's just too long and unwieldy. A few years ago, Milwaukee came out with a hacksaw, which is a one-handed reciprocating saw, which is great because you could put a pruning blade on it and that would work great. But it's still going to take a little bit of effort to hold the branch steady and hold the hacksaw steady while that blade moves in and out and cuts through the branch. The M12 Hatchet is great in this respect because the chain is always going in a loop, always going in the same direction. It doesn't go back and forth like a reciprocating saw does. So that means that the chain is always pulling that branch back to the edge of the tool, and so it essentially just holds the branch in place for you. You could get a bare tool or in the kit. I chose to get just the bare tool. You can see that the bare tool is currently $179, but you can also get the kit, which includes a 4 amp hour battery and the M12 charger for $249. So for another $70, you get a 4 amp hour battery and a charger. I want to point out that although my friend here is only using one hand, and I only used one hand sometimes, Milwaukee recommends that you use two hands, and I recommend that you read your owner's manual and follow all the safety precautions. I mean, you don't want your buddies giving you some kind of weird nickname for a unfortunate accident. So don't be stupid like us. Alright, now you might be saying, sure, Rob, it might cut through these little twigs, but is it going to cut through anything bigger? Well, I'm glad you asked. Let me show you. Milwaukee claims that you can cut up to 3-inch hardwoods with this saw, and they claim that you can get up to 120 cuts on a single charge with a 4 amp hour battery, and based on what I experienced, I'd say that's pretty accurate. Okay, I had to go down a rabbit hole to understand the power on this thing because I saw the listing in the specs and I wanted to know, how do I wrap my head around that? So when I was looking at the specs, the torque is listed as 2.25 Nm. Now, I wasn't 100% sure, but the first thing that popped in my head was Newton meters. I don't know if that was from all my classes for my degree, or I just heard it in another tool video, or what. But the spec is 2.25 Newton meters. So then that begs the question, what is a Newton meter? So I had to go and look that up. The definition used a bunch of fancy language to basically just say, imagine you're holding one end of a stick or a pipe that is 1 meter long, which is a little over 3 feet. And imagine someone else pushes down on the other end. That force that you would feel is 1 Newton meter. Since the definition said that they are pushing down on the other end of the stick with the force of 1 Newton, I wanted to know, what is the force of 1 Newton? And it turns out that 1 Newton is equal to the force that it takes to push 1 kilogram 1 meter per second. So basically, a little over 2 pounds at a rate of a little over 3 feet per second. So that explained to me how they come up with that number, but it still didn't tell me how we could relate to it if we're used to inch pounds or foot pounds. So with the magic of Google, I was able to find out that 1 Newton meter of torque is just over 8.8 inch pounds of torque. So if we multiply that by our 2.25 Newton meters, we get just under 20 inch pounds of torque that this M12 Hatchet has. So to compare the Hatchet's 2.25 Newton meters of torque to other chainsaws, this 16-inch Ryobi that's 18 volt only has 1.57. This 52cc gas-powered saw is rated for 2.8 Newton meters of torque, which granted is more, but maybe one of you guys can explain to me, is this a misprint or do they measure it differently? Because I would have just thought that a gas-powered saw would be way more powerful than a 12-volt battery-powered saw. I thought it'd be fun to check out this 1.5 amp hour battery and see how it fares with this. Alright, now, Milwaukee recommends that you only use a 3 amp hour battery or bigger. But what if you don't have a 3 amp hour battery or bigger and you don't want to buy the kit, you just want to buy the bare tool? Will it even work with a smaller battery? Well, let's try this 1.5 amp hour battery and see what happens. We have a full battery, so let's try it out. By the way, you can get an extra chain for about 20 bucks. You can also get an extra bar for another $20. Still cuts great. It's awesome. Love this thing. Oh, and it didn't seem to stress the battery at all. So to sum up this whole video and tell you what I think about this tool, here's my friend telling us what he thinks.
There we go. This thing works great, dude.
Yeah. Alrighty, well there you go. As you can see, the M12 Hatchet is a really impressive piece of technology, and it even worked with this little 1.5 amp hour battery. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions for me, and comment if you've used this thing and what you thought of it. Thank you so much for watching the video, and I'll see you next time. Hey there, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for being here. Well, let the cars go by. I've been waiting for a tool like this for a long time and it's always pulling it back to the tool, and the tool actually... Sweet.